The sky's falling, man. The sky is falling, Kaza.
The locker room is lost.
The locker room's lost. Fire everybody, trade everybody.
Yeah, this is
some hard times, man.
Welcome to another episode of Under Construction.
Glad to be here.
I'm Kaza Sosei. To the left of me is Jamal, the angry, very angry this week.
I'm angry, Kaza. I'm mad.
Black fan. Jamal Darby, and boy, what a week! If you are a Charlotte Hornets fan, what a week!
This week has been pretty damn eventful, man.
Yeah, but not really.
Right, it has, but it really ain't.
Hornets have lost 3 in a row since we last talked to you guys. Of course, the last show we did was last Sunday, and they lost to the Clippers in a daytime game. After that, they lost a kind of close one to Boston, in Boston, and then at home they lost a game I can't even describe against the Cleveland Cavs. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then they got blown off the court by the now first place Miami Heat in a game that raised a lot of eyebrows because for various reasons, which we will get into. And so, of course, Hornets fans are panicking.
Yep.
But you know what's odd? Let's hop in the 1983 DeLorean and go back. Just a few months here.
Yeah.
Take you guys all the way back to November 1st. Charlotte Hornets lost by 3 points to the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland. After that, they lost to Golden State, Sacramento, LA, and Los Angeles. 5 losses in a row. This is not the first time we've gone through this season.
But Kaza, can I do you one better? It's not the first time any NBA team is going through this ever, man.
No, and at the beginning of the season when we gave our predictions, we were all mostly on the same page.
Right.
Anywhere from 40 to 44 wins. I said 44 was the high. I think Rodney said 42.
I think the median was like 43 between all of us.
41, 42 wins.
Right.
That's about where the Hornets are now. They're a 500 or barely over team. I don't understand why there's like this big
look. Let's call a spade, man. We're gonna cover all the 3 games we had this week, but the game that is causing everyone to just go crazy is last night's game against the Miami Heat. Let's call a spade. We lost 2 quarters. We won 2 quarters and we lost 2 quarters.
Mm-hmm.
But the third quarter, we were outscored. What was it?
35 to 8.
35 to 8. There's no sugarcoating that. There's no way around it. That's absolutely, it's probably the worst quarter I've ever seen, to be frank.
The second worst quarter in franchise history. As Eric Collins called out on the broadcast, the worst quarter in franchise history was 6 points back in 1994.
Right.
So,
but the worst quarter that I can remember in recent memory.
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
And to add to that, there was so-called drama between our rookie James Bouknight and coach James Borrego. When James Borrego was asked about it, he said, "Hey, it's 2 competitors getting emotional." When James Borrego was asked about it the second time, he said, "Hey, I know my rookie wants to play more. I understand. I'm going to try to find minutes for him." Before I go into my spiel, man, what's your take on that, man?
Much ado about nothing. I will say this. It is fairly uncommon to see a rookie and his head coach get into that kind of, what we don't know what happened.
Right. We don't know what was said. Yeah, right.
You know, he could have called Bouknight a damn moron.
Right.
For all we know.
For all we know, right.
So that does seem kind of odd, especially since Bouknight had just been in the game.
Right.
Like the play prior. So I will say and
to cut you off, it looks like Bouknight was probably upset that he got yanked so quickly. You know what I mean?
I think so. I think he thought he should have gone back in, and Borrego probably said, "Man, sit your ass down," or something like that. And Bouknight he didn't like it. But having said that, I'll say two things. One, James Borrego he's not a rookie head coach anymore. he's been in the league in some capacity for 2 decades.
Right.
He's got 2 championship rings as an assistant with the San Antonio Spurs. He's actually been a head coach before. He was an interim head coach for the Orlando Magic back in 2015.
Right.
He coached that terrible team. He knows the inner workings of the league and the NBA and dealing with players and all that. This is not a big deal to him.
Right.
He did not seem frazzled or fazed by it in any capacity. He just was kind of like.
But more importantly, because all the headlines that you see and all the tweets that you see, what does it say? Oh, the bench was really riled up. The bench was really
no, they weren't. Go back and look at the incident.
Go back and look at the.
Well, first thing that happened was as soon as Book Knight stood up, LaMelo yanked him back down. Like, man, sit your ass down. Sit down. What are you doing?
Stop it.
Yes, and that brings me to my second point. I'm gonna use one of your phrases. James Bouknight does not have the equity to act like that. He has not done anything in the NBA to question a coach, or even even if Borrego just say, "Hey man, sit your stupid ass down."
Right.
You sit your stupid ass down. That's what you do.
You know why? Because you're a rookie trying to prove yourself.
Yes. And I mentioned this in the game chat. We don't like to talk about rumor on the show.
Yeah.
Because it's rumor, but there have been rumors swirling about Bouknight's maturity.
And before we get to those rumors, I told you guys on day one, Bouknight may come with some baggage and maturity issues. It's on tape if somebody wants to question me about it. But go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, dude, sit down.
Look, we're sitting and trying to stretch this discussion, which is probably much ado about nothing. Like you said, it's a rookie who does not understand why he's not playing more. Do you know how many rookies around the league don't understand why they don't play more?
I'm hoping this doesn't turn into another Christian Wood situation.
It's looking like it so far. I'm not gonna lie, man.
And for those who don't know what all happened, everyone looks at Christian Wood now and sees that
he's a good player now.
He's a good player. He got the bag with Houston,
right?
And it looks like, man, Charlotte gave up on him too fast, but that is not the case.
It's not the case.
By his own admission, he thought he was better than he was, and he didn't realize that he wasn't. The Hornets tried everything they could to get Christian Wood on the same page. They even had a private film session with Michael Jordan.
Look, man.
And he didn't want to go.
Look.
The greatest player of all time says, "Hey, man, come into my office and me and you are going to look at some film."
Let's talk about it. Let's look at some film.
And you're like, nah.
Nah, I'm cool.
I'd rather go back to the G League. That's why when Christian Wood's conversations come up, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm wondering if it's the same thing with Bouknight. Does he believe, hey man, I'm good enough to where I need to get more minutes and you're not giving it to me?
Let me tell you a little story, everybody. Everybody, it is story time. I'm a diehard UConn fan. I'm not saying that to wear that as a badge of honor. Please believe me. I am saying that because he had some of the same issues. You hear me? With Dan Hurley, okay? Dan Hurley, who's the head coach of the UConn Huskies. Dan Hurley had benched James Bouknight a couple of times in his sophomore year for the same reasons. Let me break something down about James Bouknight. James Bouknight is a talented player. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about James Bouknight's talent. What you worry about with James Bouknight is what I call irrational confidence. Is he the only player on the Hornets with irrational confidence? No, he's definitely not. You cannot be irrationally confident and defiant. That is not going to work in the NBA. LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, and Kelly Oubre, they all have irrational confidence. And I'm not even saying it as a diss, but they're not defiant. They accept their coaching.
Exactly. You think about a guy like LaMelo Ball, who is, I wouldn't call LaMelo Ball cocky. He may seem that way.
He's confident. He's a confident young man. Nothing wrong with that.
Very confident. He said, "I'm not going to change."
Right.
LaMelo.
He shouldn't.
But even he, when it comes to at least publicly,
right, he
appears to be humble. I think he's accepted.
Coach, but you can't tell his fans that.
Well, it's funny when Malik Monk left the Hornets. What was it that he said? What was the reason why he said he was going to LA? Besides the fact that they were the only team that was going to pay him, but what did he say?
He tell us what he said.
He wanted to learn how to be a pro. Right?
You know how frustrating that is to hear.
Exactly, and to me, that just shows. Considering we know what Malik Monk did while he was here,
right?
Okay,
right.
And that had nothing to do with the teachings of Borrego. But I think that players on this team realize that is exactly what the Charlotte Hornets are trying to teach them, how to be a pro. I don't think you can sit here, and especially Hornets fans, riddle me this. A lot of y'all was mad that we drafted Miles Bridges. A lot of y'all was angry. I'm talking angry on draft night.
There are receipts.
Yes, that we traded Shai Gilgeous-Alexander
for Miles Bridges.
And then didn't draft Michael Porter Jr. But now he's on the, should have been an all-star this year. We'll get to that. He's about to get the bag. So either you're just going to come out and say, well, I was wrong about Miles Bridges, or you have to credit the Hornets organization for developing him into the player he is today. Which is it? It's got to be one or the other, right?
I don't get why people. Well, I understand. I was going to say I don't understand why people work so hard to discredit Borrego for the development of the players. But I know the answer to that question. Sadly enough, I'm not even going to say why, because I don't feel like getting into that today. Okay. Hey. Listen, let me. I want to be very clear about something, because people accuse us of Coach Borrego being infallible and saying that we come across like he doesn't deserve criticism. That's not the case. None of us here believe that. Okay, I don't understand everything James Borrego does. I don't understand why certain people are in the games in certain situations. I don't understand that. Does that mean the guy deserves to lose his job? Does that mean does that say, you know what, we don't deserve to see what this guy can do for us in the future? Right. You know what I mean? Let's all calm down.
You know what I mean? It's clear there's been an improvement of the Hornets every season.
You can't argue that.
Since Mitch and JB have come along. So I don't know what else. And even James Borrego has come out and said, hey, these are the deficiencies with our team. Do you think he wants to play PJ Washington at the 5 every game? Does anybody really think that he wants to start PJ Washington at the 5 and Mason Plumlee? Me
and you specifically remember that press conference last season. You know exactly what press conference I'm talking about.
Yeah, because a lot of people thought, JB's job might be on the line because he called out Mitch publicly.
Remember that?
He called out Mitch because he said, hey, he's like, I've been dealing with this crap for 3 years.
Speaking of calling out Mitch Kupchak, it amazes me how every time we lose a game, Borrego gets the brunt of the blame for every game we lose. I'm not even saying it's fair or not fair to criticize Mitch Kupchak, but I never see Mitch Kupchak's name being mentioned amongst Hornets fans for roster composition. Let's talk about roster composition for a second, shall we? Okay. Everybody, what's the main kink to this team? They don't play defense. How come Borrego can't fix the defense? You mean to tell me there's no scheme to fix the defense? How do you fix the defense when your guards can't keep other guards out the lane and you don't have a center to protect the rim? Tell me what scheme fixes that.
Unless you're Golden State, which is one of the few teams that are able to have a top defense without
a rim protector.
But
they have Draymond Green.
They have Draymond Green. They have Gary Payton.
the third.
Yeah, they have good defenders.
Andrew Wiggins, when he wants to, is a good defender.
We don't have good defenders. We have Miles and pre-COVID Cody Martin.
Right. Who struggled since COVID. Let's be fair.
Who has not been the same since coming back from health and safety protocols. We're not built for defense. And so here's the thing. When the Hornets hired James Borrego, there were two areas that they wanted to shore up. One was player development.
Right.
Steve Clifford was not known for player development, and I'm not talking about just not playing the young guys. That he just didn't develop.
He just didn't develop talent.
That wasn't a focus of his.
Right.
Second was offense. Okay, Steve Clifford
was very rigid when it comes to offense. Yes.
The Hornets did not shoot the three well. They didn't shoot it at all.
This is the same team that started Gerald Henderson and Michael Kidd Gilchrist together. Yeah.
And so the Hornets wanted a more offensive-minded coach, and they wanted someone who was going to focus on player development. The Hornets are the number one offense in the league. They were previously the number one three-point shooting team in the league. They've since dipped. But
we're going to talk about that some more. But go ahead.
They are a top offense in the league. They have a better record at this point in the season than they've had at any point over the last decade. They've got exactly what they wanted out of the new coaching staff and executive staff.
Right.
This is exactly what they wanted. Right. You've developed players. They developed Miles Bridges. They developed Devontae Graham. Remember? Everyone's like, I don't see why people go to the G League. Look at Devontae Graham. Look at all the time he spent in the G League. He comes back. He starts. People talking about most improved player of the year. And now he gets the bag.
Now he got paid.
And he's gone.
Right.
So we've gotten exactly. I'm not saying that James Borrego is the guy that's going to take us to the promised land. I don't even think that's the case. I think James Borrego is going to end up being like our version of Mark Jackson. Mm-hmm. He's going to develop the players. He's going to get their mentality. He's going to help change the culture, and he's going to take them as far as they can go. And then Michael Jordan's going to bring somebody else in. It'll be like a Steve Nash kind of player.
That's going to be a name.
Right. It's going to be
a name that everybody loves.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
A name.
And he's going to take the Hornets to the next level.
And then he's going to get all the credit.
Everyone's going to say, see,
I told you what, Borrego.
I told you. Which, there's nothing wrong with that. Just like with Golden State, Steve Kerr was the best. He was the best choice for that team. But even he admits he did not build that team to where they were.
Right.
Okay, Mark Jackson made Steph Curry and Klay Thompson the players they were. Steve Kerr made them the team they were. I think we might end up with that same situation with James Borrego. But as for right now, it just looks bad because the Hornets have lost 4 winnable games.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure I would consider the Miami game winnable. Although I thought they would win that game.
Oddly enough, it was up until the third quarter.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how well they played
in the first half.
Right,
yeah. Right.
Miami is they are the better team.
I gave the Hornets props for the way they fought back in the first half, and they outscored the Heat like 28-15 in the second quarter. They're up by 6 at halftime. They look energetic. They're defending. I'm like, wow. I'm totally impressed by the first half. And in that third quarter, it just snowballed to hell, dude. Like, I've never seen anything like that in the third quarter. But let me say this. This is one thing everybody can agree with. I think whether you're a casual fan, diehard, whatever, I think this is something everybody will agree with. The Hornets tend to live and die by the three-pointer and the jump shooting. When that jump shooting goes, that team, it can get pretty ugly for the Hornets when the jump shooting goes. But let's be fair about something, y'all. It's 4 games in 6 nights. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the fact that Gordon Hayward hadn't played ball in 2 weeks and has been out with COVID. No, James Borrego didn't make Kelly Oubre, Gordon Hayward, and Terry Rozier go 0 for 16. Oubre, Washington, and Hayward go 0 for 15 through 3 quarters.
Yes, he did. He told them, look, guys.
Don't shoot the ball.
Just go out.
Just go throw bricks.
Yeah, just throw bricks. So a lot of people are saying, well, that's on Borrego to change the scheme if it's not working. There's a possibility that the Borrego could have told them, hey, guys, just keep shooting.
Right.
In which case, hey, it didn't work. But on nights like the Indiana game where the Hornets shoot 24 threes.
And they score damn near 160 points. Then it's wonderful.
Right.
It's all good.
That's the thing. You live by the sword. You die by the sword.
Yep.
That's, unfortunately, that's.
But and me and you talked about this a little bit last week. That may just be our identity, man. But here's the thing. Not because we don't really have a lot of options. Again, we don't have a guy you just say, hey, man, go to the post, get me a basket.
Well, it's post play is very overrated in today's NBA.
I agree.
Super overrated.
But
no team.
But it gives you other options. That's what I'm saying. That's
it does, but it's like a fourth option for most teams. Right. Most teams would rather, honestly, there are teams out there that would kill to be able to shoot the three as well as the Hornets do this season.
Agreed.
Because from an analytics standpoint, what the Hornets are doing,
guys love us.
From what the Hornets are doing, that is the way you're supposed to play NBA basketball.
Right.
You just shoot nothing but threes, and hope for the best. So whereas post play, you slow down the pace of the game. You don't score a lot, and it hide some defensive
deficiencies
because the pace is lower in their less possessions.
You know what's funny? This just popped up in my brain. Look at the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns are what the Charlotte Hornets want to be in whatever time. They play the same style of play the Charlotte Hornets play. The exact same style.
DeAndre Ayton's not a post player.
DeAndre Ayton's not a post player.
Yeah.
They're just better.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is, why don't us fans look at the roster and just say, you know what? We're just not what we expected.
So there are some people, I'd say this on the Hornets group, that do believe the roster is poorly constructed. Maybe not poorly constructed, but it's
as
not
good as what we would like.
It's not optimal.
Right.
I'll agree with that.
Right.
There are some people that feel like the roster is fine, and James Borrego.
There's some people who feel like, hey, if we get a center, we're contenders.
Some people,
I don't agree with that.
I don't think. I understand that a lot of times two things can be true. I don't think both those things are true because the Hornets aren't like a bottom dweller team.
Right.
Currently, they are ninth, but they're still 3 games above, or 2 games now above 500. They still have a winning record. They'll probably be around a 500 team when they end the season.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't indicate that you have a bad coach and a bad roster.
Right.
It's either or.
Yeah.
Either the roster is fine and Borrego just can't get them over the hump, or the roster is not optimal and Borrego is doing everything he can to keep their head above water.
And I definitely side on the roster not being optimal. That's definitely what
we
side
all
I'm
know
on.
that we need a solid center. But a consistently solid center. I'm going to say consistently solid because y'all don't want to hear this. Have you looked at Plumlee's rebounding numbers the last few games?
They have not been bad at all, man.
17, 11,
not
10.
Bad.
The Hornets have won the points in the paint battle the last 4 games.
I'm going to say something crazy. I'm going to say something not crazy, but I'm going to say something nobody's going to agree with me on. Last night, he did the best job on Bam Adebayo last night.
Yeah, Bam, at one point, Adebayo was like 4 for 15.
Way better than PJ Washington did last night.
Someone, I think it was Kevin Stone in the group, said it was odd that Adebayo, he would attack PJ, right, and Miles, but Miles, sometimes size matters.
Yeah,
Mason Plumlee, I mean,
he's 7 footer.
7 foot, he's a big guy. It's just that he doesn't display what we need on the defensive end. I think teams can cheat if they have a good defensive center.
Right.
Miami's so good defensively because they can cheat because Bam Adebayo's there.
They can scramble. They can play passing lanes. Right.
The Hornets don't have that luxury, and a lot of people know and realize. Well, hey, if you got a guy there that can, if your guard blows by,
which happens to us often.
All the time. With Rozier and LaMelo, then you got a guy there in the paint.
Right.
The Hornets don't have that, and that would probably serve us better than Plumlee, who, for some reason, he plays the bigs well, but Kyle Lowry coming at him in the paint, he's just like a matador. He's
slow-footed.
Yeah,
slow-footed, man. Yeah. Just lateral quickness matters, man. And Bam Adebayo and Plumlee on the opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to lateral quickness.
And I would love to go back to our young guys getting playing time. I would love for Book Knight, and Kai Jones, and JT Thor to get more playing time. But are those the guys that are going to win us games?
That's the key. Look, listen.
They're not.
Listen.
And so now you have to say, well, is it worth losing games? Because y'all are mad because we're losing. So
understandable.
Yeah. So we're going to, if we play those guys, you see where I'm going with this? We're going to lose even more.
Kaiser, what is one of our favorite sayings on this show? Hindsight glasses always fit. Every time you put hindsight glasses on, they fit perfectly every time. Here's why I'm saying that. After every loss, what's the easiest thing you can say? Oh, man, you should have played. Oh, you know what? If we would have played, man, you know what? If we would have played, that's good. That's easy to say every single time. But I want people to understand something, man. When it comes to young guys, this is not specifically a Hornets thing. If people don't listen to anything else I say today, understand that young guys and playing time is not just an issue in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a bunch of young guys in the league that don't understand why they're playing. You know why? Because they haven't earned their coaches' trust yet. They see them every single day in practice.
That's true.
They haven't earned their trust. It's probably for a damn good reason. Would I like to see JT throw out there a little more? I definitely would. But am I going to sit here and say, you know what, we definitely would have won if JT Thor would have played? Hell no, I'm not going to say that.
I mean, against Boston, Plumlee had 17 rebounds. You think JT Thor
would have did any better?
Getting something? No, he's not.
And look, and might I add, Nick Richards got some playing time last night.
I don't think we lost any of these 4 games because of – you can make the case for the Cleveland game because Jarrett Allen –
was Wilt Chamberlain against us.
Played
usual.
very well. But I don't think there's anybody we could have had that would have stopped Jarrett Allen that night.
Well, Kaiser, that Cleveland game was a lot more going. I'll just play this. A lot more going on in that Cleveland game than just.
All right, let's talk about the games then. And we'll come back to the culture.
We ain't even talking about the games.
We ain't even talking about the games. The Boston game was a little disappointing because Jason Tatum was not on fire, so I expected us to win that game.
Marcus Smart was the big X factor.
Yeah, he did not play the previous game that we won against Boston. LaMelo Ball had 38 points, 9 assists. He played
like a superstar.
Played like a superstar
offensively, anyway.
Yeah, but we just ended up losing that game because guys like Josh Richardson scored 23 points off the bench.
So about that, I'm glad you brought that up. and I will say maybe for the last month or so, we've been better defensively. But do we still have a long way to go? Yeah, absolutely. The Celtics game showed us that. Josh Richardson, nobody guarded him all night. When I say nobody guarded him all night, every shot he hit, nobody was in his face. The reason why, and this is basketball nerd Jamal coming out, because I noticed this. Marcus Smart, or whoever was playing point guard for the Celtics, Dennis Schrader, every time we got in a pick and roll situation, our center has to it puts Plumlee in a bad space when the guards break down the defense. Plumlee and whoever else was guarding the wing had to make hard decisions all night. Do I protect the paint or do I leave this guy open for 3? That guy happened to be Josh Richardson all damn night. And I credit the Celtics because they picked up on that very, very early. We could not stop it all night, man.
Yeah, I think the Hornets did have to pick their poison. Josh Richardson is not a 3-point shooter. He shoots like 32%.
That's so frustrating.
On the season or something like that. He just happened, to get those open looks, and he took them, and he figured, hey, I might as well. This is found money. I might as well cash it in. Also, I think the biggest reason we lost that game is because Miles Bridges played terrible.
He was terrible. I'm glad you said it.
6 points in 38 minutes. He was only 2 for 8. I don't know what was up with him.
Yeah.
Sex party, maybe. We don't talk about that a lot because
I find it funny that Miles Bridges played that terrible and got 31 minutes. Could you imagine if somebody else played that bad and got 30 minutes? Oh, I'm sorry. It did happen, actually. Never mind. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oops. But anyway, we digress.
That was a tough loss because the games that we lost are games that the Hornets kind of need to win because of the parity in the Eastern Conference. Losing to the Clippers wasn't that bad, but Boston, Cleveland, Miami, you've got to win at least one of those games.
Yeah.
And we lost none. Let's talk about the Cleveland game.
Before we do, are there any blood pressure pills that you have laying around here? Because that Cleveland game, stop me from being emotional when we talk about that game. But go ahead.
I don't know what to think about that game.
I do.
A roller coaster ride of emotion.
Accurate.
The Hornets did not give up. They came back. They were aided by
a 4-point play,
a questionable play in which the referees really miscommunicated, misunderstood the rules, but then they made up for it. What essentially ended up being the penultimate play of the game, in which Cleveland missed a shot. Kevin Love gets the offensive rebound. Terry Rozier fouls him.
Let's talk about the play before. Terry Rozier misses a shot. 12 seconds left on the game clock. Gordon Hayward is mugged. Not fouled.
But the NBA came out and said that was a foul. That should have been a foul on Gordon Hayward. How? I don't know.
Get out of here.
I don't know.
I'm not even trying to hear that.
I don't understand how that was a foul. On
how does someone else's arm around your neck get? Yeah. Never mind, dude. Go ahead.
But yeah, Cleveland comes down. They missed a shot. Kevin Love gets the rebound. Terry Rozier does foul him, but it was a non-shooting foul. The refs awarded him 2 shots. Kevin Love's a 90% free throw shooter. He hits 2 free throws.
Game over.
The game is officially over. The Hornets came down to 1 lob play, in which this is another thing fans were mad about. LaMelo Ball was not in for that lob play. Gordon Hayward threw the lob to Miles Bridges. He didn't get. Now, let me just say this: if inbounds lob plays were that easy, you'd run them every
single time. Every single time. If you could get that, if you could get free 2 points,
yes.
Every time, why not take them?
Yeah, so, I mean, that was a tough situation to be in anyway.
I will say this. Look, because, I got accused of blaming the refs too much for the loss. Oh, man, they should have played. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Of course, they should have played better. But I'll say this. Kevin Love having 25 and 9, can't let that happen. I'm sorry. Kevin Love's a really good player, but the shots he made, nobody guarded him.
I think Miles Bridges was having such a tough time on defense. Bridges didn't play that well. 12 points in 37 minutes.
To be fair, he had to help on Allen so much.
Exactly. Yeah. Also, that was Gordon Hayward's first game back from an extended bout with a foot injury and health and safety protocols.
3 for 13.
He played absolutely terrible, which, I mean, your first game back from health and safety protocols – guys, nobody on the team has looked good after coming back from COVID.
Right.
Including LaMelo, Miles, Oubre,
yep.
PJ. These guys always have this off
struggle
period.
I mean, but we've all had COVID, so I understand, I get it.
Yeah, that was a tough game because it came down to, I try so hard not to ever blame the
referees
because I feel like referees are just like this obstacle in sports.
Right.
You really can't do anything about it.
You can't do anything about it.
You just kind of got to play around.
Yep. Right.
But sometimes they become so invasive to a game, and a lot of people will say, "Well, they missed calls early in the game." Here's the thing: every play in a game is not weighted the same in value. If it was, the game would only be 30 seconds long.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Clearly, plays. That's why the NBA has a 2-minute report, not a 48-minute report.
Right.
Because clearly, plays in the last 2 minutes are
worth way more.
Worth way more
right.
than plays in the first 2 minutes of the game. And I guess maybe this is the conspiracy theorist in me, but Cleveland was plus 230 underdogs on this game, which was kind of surprising to me considering they're the number 3 team in the Eastern Conference. The Hornets at the time were number 7. They're fairly close. I'm just kind of surprised. But by comparison, Indiana was only plus 100 underdogs against the Chicago Bulls. So I was kind of, so if I'm a bettor, if I'm a ref looking for games to bet on, I'd be like, ooh, hold up, look at this. Hold up, you trying to tell me Cleveland is plus 230?
Right.
That means I put $100 down or put $1,000 down and get $2,300 back if they win. I'm just
didn't the NBA get in trouble for that? You know what?
It's just weird how that happened and that was it.
Everybody forgot about it.
We forgot a referee was
corrupt.
Yes, did prison time.
Yeah.
Went to federal prison for fixing games, not just betting on them, fixing games. And the NBA was like, yeah, we investigated ourselves, and we're good to go. Here we are 10 years later.
All right, I want to address something. Chris Galloway says give Terry Rozier some heat for taking that last shot in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm going to give him some heat.
What you got?
You said it previously this episode.
Irrational confidence.
I even made a joke about it in the Hornets group. Where Terry Rozier, and we talked about it before.
At this point, I can't even contradict myself.
Yeah. Rozier feels like he can make any shot. He's that guy. Because if he makes that shot, the game is over. He's
a hero if he makes the shot. Right.
No, yeah, I agree. Rozier, deserve some heat because at that point you can actually just run the clock all the way down.
Look, I'll even take it a step further. Because our main man, Mr. Jerry Valancourt, says the same thing, and I say this, and I agree with this too. I really wish in those situations the Hornets would run offense, run some more stuff. It seems like way too many times we get down in the shot clock, 8 seconds left, it's ISO ball.
You know what it is?
I'm not a big fan of that personally, man.
You know what it is?
What's up?
LaMelo fans aren't going to want to hear this because it contradicts what many people believe to be the case when it comes to Borrego and LaMelo. But he gives LaMelo too much freedom in those situations.
I agree.
But he does not call plays because he feels like, I'm just going to let this guy do his thing and run the show.
And make it happen.
He's a playmaker.
Right.
I'm going to let him create.
Right.
And then sometimes it just doesn't work.
Right.
And the Hornets get stuck in these situations. There was a sequence last night where the Miami Heat just had incredible ball movement for a Hero hit an open three. And I mean, it was just
crisp.
Amazing. It was like 2003 San Antonio Spurs.
Right.
I was like, yo,
wow.
Why aren't we doing that?
Why aren't we doing that?
And the thing is, at the beginning of the season, the Hornets were.
Right.
Remember, they led the league in assists per game and points off of assists.
Right.
That has since faltered, and I think it's because you're letting the guys
too much freedom. Yeah.
So I'll give Borrego some criticism on that. I do think, sometimes they got to be like, hold up, guys.
And then it's funny because for the majority of this season, we never question the offense. Oh, the offense ain't the problem. No, the offense ain't the problem. They score this many points a game. It's defense. But I feel like in the last, I don't know, maybe week or two, you give the offense a lot of criticism, man. And listen, there's a fine line between scoring a bunch of points and being efficient about it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we've been very efficient the last maybe week or two. And for the reasons we've just.
And I will say this is where having a better center comes into play.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can dump the ball down low because they do get the ball down low to Plumlee a lot.
And he doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, he chooses to pass out, I think, because he knows he's going to get fouled, and he can't make those free throws.
That is a very good point.
And that's it. First of all, centers typically, I don't give him a lot of crap for not shooting free throws well because centers typically don't shoot free throws well. Historically, in the NBA, big men do not shoot free throws well. But you've got to be able to feel like, if I get the ball down to you down low,
you can do something with it.
That's the highest percentage shot right there.
At the rim.
That's almost a free two.
But let me ask you this question, man. Going forward, because I'm of the belief if you're not going to try to score, then you're just kind of a waste. Regardless of the foul shot situation, try to score.
Yeah, unless you're like Dennis Rodman, who did score under the basket. That was the only time.
Even him.
That was the only time he would ever score was if he was literally standing underneath the basket.
And listen, this is gonna sound silly, but you get my point. Shaq wasn't afraid if he was gonna miss free throws or not. I know. I thought
about that in the car yesterday. I was like, Shaq, he was terrible. But I mean, Shaq. First of all, fouling him wasn't gonna do anything. He was still gonna dunk on you. So
I know Plumlee's not Shaq, y'all, but the point I'm trying to make is don't waste points. If you're at the damn rim, try it. I'm sorry.
Because I mean, I 100% agree, and I think that's why we ended up losing close games in the fourth because three doesn't fall.
Yeah,
we can't dump the ball down low. Teams know that.
And their offense stalls out.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, late in the game is the worst time to shoot a three. You're fatigued. Your legs are tired. You're just not going to be as accurate unless you're just on fire.
Yeah. And one quick question, man, because I personally, we don't play, we don't know, we don't go through the daily rigors of NBA life. But I'm as a fan, I'm tired of using the back-to-back games as excuses. But how much merit is there to that? Because we're coming off. We have played 4 games in 6 nights. Let's be clear, okay? How much of that is his legs?
Well, you would think with a team as young as the Hornets, the 4th youngest team in the league, it wouldn't make that much of a difference. But
I think it does, though.
It does.
Yeah.
Especially, trust me, these guys are not sitting in their hotel room playing 2K, getting a good night's rest. They are not.
You got $3 million in your bank account. You 27 years old. What you doing?
Doing that. Trust me on that. They're out every night. They're being young and rich, and then they're having to go play.
So somebody's going to say this before it even comes up on the screen. I already know what the next point is going to be. So why doesn't Borrego use the bench more if you're coming off back-to-back games and such and such and such? I will say this. I will go as far as to say this for last night. This is tough because we pinpoint that third quarter with the Miami Heat game, okay? The disastrous third quarter. What's the word we used earlier today? In hindsight, you look back at that and you say, you know what? Maybe Borrego should have played his bench a little more in the third quarter. Maybe. But here's my counter question, Kaza. Would it have really made that much of a difference?
Playing your bench doesn't make as much of a difference as people think because it throws your chemistry off because you have to run rotations that you normally don't want run, which we talked about this before we went on air. What was the biggest knock against James Borrego his first season?
What is he doing with the rotations? He's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's playing all 13 guys. What is he doing?
Yes, and now it's like, well, he's not playing enough guys. In the Lakers game, Lakers fans were mad because even despite the fact that the Lakers were without Anthony Davis, LeBron, Malik Monk, and Dwight. Well, Dwight Howard was available. He just didn't play. But the Lakers went 10 deep, which is rare for any NBA team.
They usually go.
And the Lakers were like, why? Whereas James Borrego only went 8 deep. And they ended up winning that game. I'm not saying that's the reason why they won. What I'm saying is that it's kind of rare for coaches to go 10, 9 deep. Right. Really, you want a tight 8-man rotation, maybe 9 if you got some injuries.
Yeah.
And I think Borrego is trying to maintain a level of consistency with, you got to get used to playing with the guys that you play with.
And I have some breaking news for everybody. God willing, if we make the playoffs and playoff times are here, guess what's going to happen, y'all? Every team's going to have an 8-man rotation. I will bet you any amount of money I have, every team we face, including the Charlotte Hornets, us, are going to have an 8 to 9-man rotation.
Would you rather have a cohesive 8-man rotation
or be all over the place?
I don't know.
Easy choice.
Last question before we get to our picks for next week. The Hornets need to make a trade midseason?
So this is way more of a complicated answer than people might think. Okay. I have a counter question for you. Do we want it to be 2016 all over again? You know what I mean by that? So here's what I'm getting at. Okay, 2016, what do we do? Al Jefferson, Courtney Lee, Jeremy Lin. That's a good team, right? Exciting team, right? Go 7 with the Heat, right? Guess what happens after that, y'all?
Oh, bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Everybody's gone. You know why? You can't pay every damn body. So the point here's why this is complicated. We all know an upgraded center is needed. Let's get Captain Obvious out the way. That's the way to go, right? But at what sacrifice? Okay, you go get your center. Who? Miles Turner. Let's throw the magical, mythical Miles Turner into the equation somehow. You got to pay Miles Turner next year or 2 years or whatever. What's going to happen at that point?
What if he doesn't stay?
What if he doesn't stay?
You've given him assets.
You've given him assets for nothing. And this is the most important point I want to make about making a trade. Okay, here's what nobody wants to hear. Mitch Kupchak, the GM himself, said this summer the Hornets are ahead of schedule. Mitch Kupchak probably doesn't want to speed up that process and give up assets to do so. So I'm leaning towards no. But we don't have crystal balls. We don't know what's going to happen. Let me be clear.
If you can make a trade in which you can get a player
without giving up something,
long term, an immediate impact, then you make the trade.
Go for it.
We talked about Joseph Nurkic,
right,
on the show before. I've advocated for him. He wants out. He's wanted out of Portland. He said, if Dame's not here, I'm not here.
Yep.
Dame is not going to be a Portland Trailblazer next year. He wants out. Mitch, go get that man.
Go get him. Because it's probably not going to cost you much.
Not going to cost you anything.
Right.
Nurkic makes less. He makes like $15 million a year. You might pay him 18.
And not to mention, the Blazers just got fleeced by the Clippers because they don't, you know why? Because they're about to blow it up.
That's the kind of guy you go get. I'd also advocate for Sabonis. And I'm not opposed to Miles Turner either. It's just that I feel like Indiana's going to want a lot. We start talking about first-round draft picks. I'm hanging up the phone. Yes. Nope, sorry, not doing it. Sabonis is an all-star level player. They're going to want a lot for him. Miles Turner is not that level, but teams know that Charlotte needs a center.
And they're going to try to fleece us.
They're going to try and fleece us. Yeah. I feel like a guy like Nurkic is the guy. But also, Nurkic is a free agent. Do you feel like you could bring him here? Because preferably you'd rather sign him as a free agent than give up assets.
Which goes back to the point. You speed up the process now, or you be patient and you wait till the offseason.
Mitch is not big on mid-season trades.
Right.
He's not. So prepare to be disappointed again, Hornets fans.
Hey, listen. I do have a bit of a curveball to throw at you. This is not related to the center position. But there are some growing rumors and some growing murmurs about Kemba Walker being traded from the Knicks. Now, some of these murmurs, you will see at some point, y'all, that some of these rumors are going to be centered around bringing him back to Charlotte. And I was thinking about this today. Here's the very, very important piece to all this. I want everybody to listen to this very closely. It is from what's being reported. I want to be clear. We're not insiders. I'm just reading reports, okay? From what is being reported, the Knicks probably are not going to even want a lot back for Kemba Walker. There could really be a situation where we could pull off something like a second-round pick and Ish Smith and whoever matches the money up to get a Kemba Walker back to Charlotte. What would you think about that?
I wouldn't be opposed to that move. I wouldn't, if I met you, I don't jump at it. I might probe and see. I think having Kemba Walker as a backup makes your team better.
There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
It really does. But, does it make it that much better to where you make a move for him? Maybe not.
Let me tell you what, man. I want to be very specific when I say this because it is very important that if the move was available like that you obviously don't give up assets. I'm not saying give up book night to go get Kemba. No, I'm definitely not saying that.
I don't even think the Knicks want that.
No, you know what I'm saying? But here's why I would love it. Here's why I would be over, despite my fandom, despite my Kemba Walker fanboy stuff, despite all that. The Hornets need another adult on.
I was gonna say the same thing.
They need.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what Kemba Walker could do for LaMelo Ball? Think about that.
No.
Oh my God!
Come on, man. LaMelo Ball knows everything there is to know about that.
What am I talking about? I'm sorry.
No, I agree. A lot of people feel like we are missing some veteran locker room presence.
I think we are.
And Kemba Walker, especially, he's been around the organization.
And you mean to tell me Miles Bridges doesn't love him some Kemba Walker?
Oh, of course he does. I mean, I think that would be a good move. I'd be surprised if it happened.
Same. I don't want to get my hopes up too much.
Right, we've seen. We traded for Brad Wanamaker last year.
Why not Kemba Walker? You mean? Look, again, I'm being specific. If the Knicks call the Hornets and be like, "Hey man, give us Ish and Vernon Carey," you think for 1 second I'll be like, I'm sorry.
I'd be like, throw Mitchell Robinson in. You got a deal. Right? You guys like Mitchell Robinson. I like him too.
Hell, I would love Mitchell Robinson.
Knicks fans don't like him. They say he's always injured.
Yeah,
but
right.
I mean, I'll take him over Plumlee right now. Kemba, Mitchell, Hey
man, let's stop dreaming because
it's not gonna happen.
It's
not gonna. I don't think. Mitch has just never been big on midseason trades, even with his time with the Lakers.
I'm gonna stick to my prediction that I do mean if anything happens at the deadline, it's gonna be an under the radar move.
Besides, midseason trades rarely pan out. I think of Kawhi to Toronto a few years ago, but that's different. You're talking about a league MVP candidate.
But not only that, Kawhi Leonard had drama with the Spurs. That was drama. That was real drama.
And granted, won a championship, but let's be honest here. They won a championship because
everybody was hurt.
Everybody, I was injured during that season or that series. So, but hey, they got a chip out of it, regardless. And he left. So, if you can make that kind of trade, then yeah, by all means, go for it. But I'm trying to think what mid-season deals. Even take a look at Cleveland, who got Jared Allen last season. That he did. Now he's obviously an important piece now, but
you know what? But they kind of got him by accident. And what I mean by that was just a part of Brooklyn's whole plan to
blow up.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Blow up the world,
right?
Kind of thing. But they were able to get him not like as a 1-year rental,
right?
Like, okay, we're gonna bring you here,
and we're extending you as soon as you come here. Yeah.
I don't see the Hornets making that kind of, especially. I don't think you can trade for someone and extend them immediately because you got to deal with Miles Bridges' situation. And I hate to say this, but Cody Martin may have fumbled the bag, yo.
Yeah. Look, man. While we're here, we got to discuss this, dude. Because me and you've talked about this a little bit previously, man. I told you at some point, and I don't know what point. I don't know if that's this season, next season, 2 seasons, whatever. They got to make a decision, dude. I'm sorry. You can't keep Bouknight and Martin on the same team. That's my hot take for the day.
So here's the thing. If you let Cody Martin go, you can pay Miles Bridges max without going into the luxury tax.
Right.
You think Michael Jordan ain't looking at that? You know the meme where he's looking at his iPad like
Michael Jordan's probably like, Cody, I love you, man.
Because we know Michael Jordan has never gone into the luxury tax ever in the history of the Charlotte Hornets. Has he ever gone into luxury tax?
And I want to be clear, I defend that only because Jamal's personal opinion is that you don't go over the luxury tax unless you are clearly contending for a championship. That's my personal belief.
So Cody Martin at the beginning of the season or the first, 2/3 or quarter of the season, you're like, man, okay, they're gonna have to pay this guy because he's looking good. His offense had improved. He looked like the same defensive guy. Post-COVID, he's been just plain bad. He's just been bad.
He hasn't been good, man.
If he continues that, the Hornets are not going to be able to pay him what he would have been, what he's probably going to look for on the market.
Right.
They're not going to, especially when you're going to pay Miles Bridges about $25 million a year.
Look,
you are going to pay him that.
To summarize everything you just said, if you got a choice between who you're going to pay, Miles Bridges or Cody Martin, that's no choice.
So then you don't go into the luxury tax, and then you still have money for a free agent in the next season. And like you said, now Bouknight got an open slot. You can get him his minutes.
And with all that being said, and I want to be clear, we don't know how serious or not serious James Bouknight and Borrego, and I say this word loosely, beef is.
I heard boxing gloves after the game,
but listen,
to the death.
Listen,
whoever wins coaches the team.
Listen, if that's the case, we might not see Bouknight around here to trade deadline. If that's the case, never know. See, now the choice becomes.
I'd be shocked if Mitch moved on from a lottery pick.
I've seen it happen before,
but
not with this team.
It would depend on who you got for him, because
don't get fleeced.
Right? Yeah. I mean, if you get like Bam Adebayo for James Bouknight, you make that deal. But I don't think.
How hilarious. How hilarious would it be if James Bouknight was flipped somehow from Miles Turner? How funny would that be?
See, I was just going to say, what do you think about Sabonis for Bouknight? Right, yeah, you make that deal, right? Sabonis ain't gonna square with JB. He didn't even square with his own cup with Carlisle when Carlisle sat him the entire game against the Hornets. He ain't squaring up against JB. For Miles Turner, I just said, here's the thing. I like Miles Turner, and I challenge people in the group about. But the reason I challenge people in the group about Miles Turner is because he's not good enough to give up what fans are willing to give up to get him.
I saw something where somebody suggested giving up 2 first-round picks.
No. I mean,
Miles Turner is like,
even Pacers fans call him a glorified volleyball player. That's how much his own fan base thinks about him, because he's very good at the thing that he does very well.
I say this without knowing how the money matches up, man. But I would not be that upset if Indiana just said, "Hey, man, give us PJ Washington straight."
So, here's the thing about Indiana: they are so cap strapped.
Yeah.
They're going to have to essentially give away either Miles Turner or Sabonis because they cannot take on
The money.
anything that increases their cap. Any players they take on have to decrease their cap figure from a trade.
Now, Frederico brings up a really good point. We're forgetting Miles Turner's dealing with a foot injury.
That's true.
And a foot injury with a center, that's pretty damn concerning. That's a good point. That's a good point.
I don't want to hear shit if we get Miles Turner and he injured for half the season after y'all got on Gordon Hayward
Just delete my Facebook account if it happens. I'm sorry.
I don't think Miles Turner. I think they're questioning. They're looking into Miles Turner because Indiana has said that hey, everyone's on the table.
Yeah.
But I think a guy like Nurkic, I think they're looking hard at him. He's easier to get.
Yeah.
He averages 15, 10 a game.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great rebounder. He's an okay-ish defender. He's the best defender on the Blazers. The Blazers are not a good defensive team.
Yeah.
But they're better with him on the court.
Especially since they gave him Norman Powell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think he's an easy target. He's an upgrade to the center, like a clear upgrade, not like Martin or not like Cody Zeller to Plumlee, which was like
even
like they're kind of they do different things, but they're the same.
Yeah.
I think that's the way the Hornets are going to be looking. Trade. I can't wait till the trade deadline.
I can't wait till the trade deadline, man. Yeah,
I mean, just go away.
Just come and go. Whatever happens, look. I don't care if nothing happens. I don't care if something happens. Just come and go, please.
So we've got 4 games before y'all see us again.
Yeah, man.
Toronto, Chicago, Detroit, and Memphis.
Jesus. Oh my God.
So it's very easy to look at those games and say 1-3.
0-4.
They won't lose
Detroit. I'm sorry, Detroit is a part. Never mind.
Detroit,
1-3. Yeah,
but they could lose to Detroit.
They could. you never know.
Okay, here's what I think. I think they're going to beat Toronto. It's a home game. I think they feel like they should have won last Tuesday.
Yep.
I think they're going to be some get back.
I agree.
I think they're going to barely lose Chicago. It's a national game.
Lonzo versus LaMelo.
LaMelo will play very well, but Chicago is good enough to where they can exploit all of our weaknesses without exposing any of their own.
Yep. Because their guards, Zach LaVine owns us.
Yep.
Nick Vucevic owns us.
DeMar DeRozan is going to, when crunch time comes,
he's going to ice the game.
Yep. I think that's the L. We cannot win that.
Yep.
Detroit, I think we win, even though it's at Detroit. They're just not good, and the Hornets have not lost to Detroit
in 5 years.
It's kind of like remember how we were with the Sixers, where we just couldn't beat them for 5 years. Yep. It's the same thing with even when they were good and we were bad, they couldn't beat us for some reason. I think Blake Griffin is still standing on the court to this day, just looking
like what happened. What just happened again?
That was the Malik Monk head slap game. I think we win that. Memphis, I think
Memphis probably kills us, dude.
Memphis is good. John Morant is good. That's gonna be.
Look, this is not me trying to be like overly negative, but Memphis is rolling right now, and they owe some get back. Because remember we
did beat them.
At Memphis.
But they look like a changed team. I think John Morant has been like, okay, I'm like the best player on the court every game.
Yep.
Which he will be when we play them, and that's gonna be a problem. I
say 2-2, and
so I'm gonna say 2-2.
That's the optimistic side of me says 2-2. And
I was completely wrong last week. I was very optimistic.
We were wrong.
I said, Warriors gonna bounce back and win these games.
Yeah, we were wrong.
I'm coming crashing back down to earth. I think we eke out one against Toronto. We lose Chicago and Memphis, and we beat Detroit. Yeah. And
Jalen McDaniel's still out, by the way. I know that's your boy. I just wanted to let you know. Whatever. hey, for Cousins' birthday, y'all buy him a Jalen McDaniels.
I will say this. With McDaniels out, now Bouknight has gotten more minutes, but I expected to see more of Bouknight and possibly JT Thor in lieu of the minutes that McDaniels would have gotten.
But we still could. Especially with everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? We still could. We'll see. Look, man. Look. This is not me being panicky. Next week is critical, dude. We gotta go 2-2 next week.
You have to.
You got to.
Because you can't fall below 500 at this point in the season. Here's the thing. The Hornets' schedule is not difficult. There are a lot of people in the group that have said teams are going to get more difficult as you get closer to playoff time.
Right.
There is some truth to that, I think. But also, at this point of the season, you kind of know what teams are about.
Yeah.
You know, we're picking the Hornets to beat Detroit because we know
how much we own them.
Yeah,
right,
Detroit is not a good team.
Right.
So I don't think the sky is falling. I think the Hornets, in one of these games, they're gonna have a monster shooting night.
Yeah, you know they're gonna break out of this at some point. They're gonna break out of this.
Score. Kelly Oubre is gonna.
He's gonna go nuts one game.
Exactly.
Yep.
I think it'll be all right. I'm really actually the week after next is where I'm looking ahead because we play Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
They've been on a little bit of a rise of late.
Oh, and don't forget, Mr. D'Angelo Russell was quoted as saying, "They're not a better team than us. They just beat us tonight."
Yeah, exactly. Bulletin board material.
Right.
And then we play Miami again. That's going to be an opportunity. That's a test. And then Toronto again, and then Detroit again. This next 8 games, super important stretch.
What did I tell you last week? I said if you look at these games in February, they're going to tell us a lot about ourselves, man. So far, we're not passing that test.
I'm still for the most part on pace of my prediction. Of
Same.
Everyone. Guys, nobody picked the Hornets to win the championship. Come on, y'all.
Nobody picked us for the 5th or 4th seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Boy, Hornets. It's tough being a Hornets fan, man.
It's really hard.
But it shouldn't be, right? The Hornets are better than they've been in a long time, and here we are like,
you know what? It's tough, but for some reason, it's still very fun to be a Hornets fan.
Hey, Hornets are box office.
They really are. Look, you can't say there's something to not watch every night with this team.
Yeah, I swear.
They're interesting, if not anything else.
At least 3 or 4 times a game, I see LaMelo Ball do something, and
you just shake your head like, "Wow, I can't believe we had that dude."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, I can't believe we drafted this guy.
Right.
Holy crap!
Yeah, like that's ours. Like that's a Hornet right there. Like, yeah.
All right. One more thing I want to talk about before we got about 10 minutes left. We're gonna switch to the NFL. And not talk specifically about the Panthers, but I do want to talk about the Brian Flores situation in the beehive that has been poked. For those who don't know, Brian Flores has sued the NFL for discriminatory hiring practices after he revealed texts that were sent to him by Bill Belichick showing that he had been, even though was being interviewed for a coaching position, the position had actually been given to someone else. He also revealed that he had been offered $100,000 per game to lose so that the Dolphins would have a better draft position. Hugh Brown, former coach of the Browns, then came out and said that he was made a similar offer while coaching Cleveland. The NFL, of course, has investigated itself and said, well, we don't think there's a lot of merit to this.
Like the NBA investigated themselves.
So for betting our games, for game fixing, yeah.
Right.
NFL has done the same thing. So now the lines are drawn in the sand, and now more
Hugh Jackson's come out.
Yeah, there are more accusations of discriminatory practices, particularly concerning how teams get around the Rooney Rule. For those who don't know, the Rooney Rule essentially states that you must interview a minority candidate for any available head coaching or general management position. Even if you don't give them the job, you have to at least interview them, else you will be penalized. There are different penalties, loss of draft picks, money, things like that. So what's happening is that teams are offering minorities interviews with no intent to actually hire them so they can get around the Rooney Rule.
Come to the interviews drunk.
Yeah, so that and it's kind of like, okay, is the Rooney Rule even viable anymore if teams can just loophole it like this? Jamal, what do you think?
Imagine you go to your job tomorrow, Kaza. Your boss comes up to you and he says, "Hey, man, I'll double your salary if you put a virus in this program. This program, it can destroy thousands of our clients, but I will offer you double to put a virus." But here's the point. Regardless of whether you do that or not, here's the point. I don't know what's worse, the actual practices or the lack of integrity for the game and using black coaches as a pawn in that lack of integrity. I don't know what's more disappointing, man. Was Matt Rule? You think Matt Rule was asked to sabotage some games? You think Dave Tepper would be like, "Hey, man, I'll double your salary if we tank on purpose"? You think that'll happen?
Your face is more disappointing.
Ronnie has hopped in.
Hey, Rodney, how's it going, man?
I'm recovering. I'm good.
But in all seriousness, the main point I'm trying to make is why are we the pawns in that? That's the only point I'm trying to make. Rodney, why is my answer so disappointing, man?
I don't know, man, but this whole thing is disappointing. I'm quite frankly tired of talking about it, but
I'm with you.
I'm so happy that Brian Flores is taking a stand. If you look at the Rooney Rule, when it was implemented, we had 3 black coaches in the NFL. Today, how many do we have?
One.
And one other minority, Ron Rivera.
Yep.
That's it.
No, and Robert Saylor's a minority too. He's
That's true. Okay. Yeah.
And so and even if you look at Mike Tomlin, he doesn't have any black assistant coaches. Yep. I don't think he does it all. And it's just like I brought this up. I brought this up a few years ago when Matt Rule was hired. I highlighted this quote. He said that Matt Rule looks like him, dresses like me, just reminds me of myself. And the real question is, how can you overcome that fact? Like, we are so like polarized in the way we act and live in the United States.
Cultural difference, to say the least.
It's a lot of cultural differences. It's like Eric Bieniemy, when he interviewed it, he never really had a shot because he really couldn't relate to Matt Rule. He grew up, I mean, not to Matt Rule, but Tepper. I mean, he grew up in South LA.
Hey, Rodney, let me cut you off real quick because you brought up Eric Bieniemy, and this is something I want to kind of throw out there real quick, man. People got really mad at Stephen A. Smith the other day when the Chiefs lost the game, and you know, this is for arguments. People can argue over this whatever they want to, but people were, you know, Stephen A. Smith was basically saying Eric Bieniemy probably cost himself, you know, a job as a head coach, and people got really mad at Stephen A. Smith. But what I gathered from that was Eric Bieniemy had a very short leash. Like he had to win that game basically and go to the Super Bowl just for him to be considered. And that's what I took from that. Right. And I don't understand why everybody got mad at Stephen A. Smith for in my opinion, stating the obvious. You know what I'm saying?
Like I shared a quote with you guys earlier this week, if you remember. Twice as good, twice as intelligent, twice as prepared. And it's our reality. Like
I felt that on a personal level, by the way. But yeah.
We face more scrutiny just in everyday life, even in the corporate world. Like our work is looked at more. And when you look at somebody's work more, you're more likely to find smaller errors than the person that you're not looking at. Look, even as a black quarterback, look at the way Cam Newton is treated. Like
Lamar Jackson, to be fair,
Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's just the world that we live in, and we got to find a way to overcome it and call out that behavior. And
the only way it's going to change is you got to start at the top. You've got to have black owners in the NFL, which is a whole nother kind of challenge.
Yeah, thank you. Let me ask you a question. Like people don't like numbers that don't favor them.
Yeah, so, I mean, first of all, it's extremely difficult to be an owner in the NFL, even a white owner, mainly because the rules have changed on NFL ownership. Essentially, if you cannot pay for the team out of your pocket, you cannot. Yeah.
And I was just
you're gonna have a team.
And I was just gonna say, our very own owner here in Charlotte probably made that a lot damn harder to be.
Oh yeah. He came out. He was like, I don't need a investing team. I got $3 million in my pocket.
I can do it myself. I'm the head.
Yeah, and he did, and that's going to make it tough. However, there are other ends. There are executives that work for the NFL as a whole. You've got to have that trickle down. And I know people don't want to hear this because, yes, we all believe that the most qualified candidate should always get the position. But come on, we know the NFL executives are hooking other people up with jobs. You've got. For all the flack Michael Jordan gets from the black community,
don't get me started.
Look at what he's done with the Charlotte Hornets in the front office. Look how many people of color and minorities are in prominent roles with the Charlotte Hornets.
You can say a lot about Michael Jordan, but that is a point you cannot argue. You cannot argue.
The only black owner in the NBA, more black executives than any other team in the league, the only Hispanic coach in the history of the league. I mean, that's how it starts. I don't know how the NFL can get to that, but I'm glad that someone's taking.
Wait, James Borrego Spanish?
That's why he don't like LaMelo.
That's why he don't like LaMelo.
Let me stop.
LaMelo sound too Hispanic.
Sound too urban. Yeah.
But that's what it's going to take in the NFL, and I'm glad that when you take the shield to task, like Brian Flores has done, it forces the NFL to. They've got to do something. They've got to do something concrete. The Rooney Rule is not going to work anymore. Yeah. You have to.
Let me tell you what was telling though. If you read the NFL statement, they just dismissed the claim without even like investigating. And what's crazy is ultimately I think they're going to find a way to make this all go away. They're going to pay him and make it all go away.
Of course they will.
Of course.
And I do want to be clear. I want to be fair about something.
Yeah, I know what you're about to say.
Brian Flores has been part of the Shield. Okay, when he was not on Team Kaepernick, when his own players criticized Jay-Z for making a deal with the league, what did he do?
Playing Jay-Z at
Started playing Jay-Z at practice in order to needle his own players. He got a lot of flack from black players about that. So,
let me ask you a question, Kaz. Are we past kneeling?
What's that?
Are we past kneeling?
Apparently not.
Yeah. We've never been past kneeling.
I'm going to chill out. I'm going to chill out talking about Jay-Z because he's a lot of people's Lord and Savior, and I can't.
Matt Rule.
It's The Rock.
Matt Rule just plays Jay-Z just because.
He's a cool guy. He's relatable.
7 whole years. Look, Cincinnati's an anomaly. It took 2, but.
Cincinnati coach like, oh, word, really?
I think about the Bengals, and I think about 2011, because the Bengals were terrible, just like the Panthers were.
Yep.
We drafted Cam Newton, they drafted Andy Dalton. We drafted Luke Kuechly the next season, and they drafted A.J. Green. They both had fairly successful decades, although the Bengals did not achieve the level of success the Panthers did. They were more consistent in their success. They made the playoffs all those years, although they got dropped in the first round. And they had a black head coach, Marvin Lewis, who must have been dating the owner's daughter or something.
Listen. I once made a post. I said, I wish every black man in America had the privilege Marvin Lewis had.
I don't know what it was.
Look. I was watching the interview. Because you know how vocal Stephen A. Smith was about him. He went after Stephen A.'s head. He was like, Stephen A., there's certain things that you're not privy to that I had to deal with. So it's probably was a lot of internal things going on. And
I would imagine so, considering you just couldn't get that team over the hump. But they were consistent. They made the playoffs every year, and then they had the same sharp fall off that the Panthers had. And now 3 seasons later in the Super Bowl, and where we at?
In crisis.
We're starting year 3 of 7.
3 of 7, okay.
Pretty much.
3
3 or 7.
You know what? Matt Rule is
process.
just completely discounting what a great album Streets is Watching was. He said 7 years, but I don't see that. It was only like a 3-year gap between Reasonable Doubt and Streets. And Streets is Watching was a great album. Just everyone, I'm sorry, not Streets. In My Lifetime Volume 2 was a great album. Just people really didn't, I gave you props on the first joint. You all lamed out. Didn't really appreciate it till the second one came out. So I stressed to get, you know what I'm saying? That
was dope.
Yeah, so Matt Rule is completely missing that In My Lifetime Volume 2 was a great album. It didn't take Jay-Z 7 years. It took him 3.
Sounds like a casual hip hop fan.
Yeah.
What do I know?
But yeah, I think the NFL is going to find some way to make it all go away. I hope that's not the case. I do think
guys. So, what was the coach for the Bengals again? I mean, for the Browns that was talking.
Hugh Brown.
Hugh Jackson.
Or Hugh Jackson. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hugh Jackson already recanted some statements, so it's kind of starting. So,
he got paid. He got paid off.
He got paid.
No. He got the man in the black trench coat came to the house and said, "You will say this."
No, I think he told a half truth. They did offer him. He took it.
He took it.
He took it, and they're gonna be like, "Look, man, you took it. We got the receipts. So now what?
We need that back, homie.
Yeah.
Shout outs.
I do want to say I do think that what Deion Sanders is doing at Jackson State is going to cause a ripple effect that leads up to the pros.
For me, it is a good sacrifice being a Florida State fan because he's already taken half of our damn talent.
I think, and you start seeing.
But for the greater of good, I'm with it, man.
You start seeing HBCUs.
Guys, I got some pushback. Like I really want Deion to do well,
but
we're gonna have to invest in these HBCU campuses. Like,
yeah, I agree.
But this is how it starts. I mean, you look at schools like Florida State, which is a fine academic institution,
right,
but they are known because of their athletic program. Their athletic program allows a school to bring. It's not like Duke, which is privately funded.
To both of your point, yes, this is how it starts. But to Rodney's point, they're going to have to. Black boosters specifically are going to have to be involved. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm gonna say this. Like, we totally discount wealth in these actual discussions. Studies out there show that like black college graduates have the wealth of white high school dropouts or something like that, along that nature. And we have to find creative ways to raise capital, because I mean, even if you look at Jackson State in a low Division I tier school, the facilities don't even match.
Yeah,
and so to keep this pipeline going and to ask these kids to funnel into HBCUs, we're going to have to find creative ways to get capital HBCUs. Like schools like Clemson, Florida State, they have immaculate training departments. I
think what will happen is the youth sports fans will start to gravitate towards historically black college universities. Mainly because now that the NCAA has stated that players are allowed to make money off of their own likenesses.
Yeah, right.
So you got a star athlete who plays for Deion at Jackson State now. Everyone's gonna want his jersey. That's gonna funnel money into these HBCUs and away from the big schools.
Yeah.
Because that's where the big schools get their revenue, is from their collegiate fan base and their alumni. I think that this is the start. It may not be in our lifetime, but this is the start. And I think it will have a trickle up effect to the NFL. Teams are going to look at what Deion's doing and think, I mean, if Deion can do for Jackson State what Matt Rule did for Baylor and Temple, what reason would you have to not hire him as an NFL head coach?
He's black.
Because he's black, right? That's the only excuse you can make at that point.
Look. Let me recant my statement. I fully want to work in the NFL in some capacity. I did not mean that. It was a moment of vulnerability. I'm recovering from COVID.
I'm gonna edit that.
So I'm sorry that I said that. But But yeah, Deion is a legend, and he'll be hired eventually soon, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Shout outs.
I'm gonna go last.
I want to give a shout out actually to the NHL.
What'd they do?
They had their All-Star weekend this past weekend, and it was great.
Vegas.
Yes, it was outstanding that they did a tournament All-Star game format in which they split the teams up into 4 All-Star teams and then had a like a little short All-Star game playoff tournament in which they had shortened games. And Rod Brindamore, who is the current coach of the Carolina Hurricanes, he was the coach of the Metro Division, and they won. So the Hurricanes had a great showing this All-Star weekend. Sebastian Aho was the best player on the Metro team. He also won the shooting accuracy competition. But I like the idea of an All-Star game tournament, like an All-Star tournament, because
so the Hurricanes didn't have an All-Star snub this year.
They did not.
So one team in North Carolina is respected. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Well, they've won a championship, and and they moved from Hartford, so they still have some of their Connecticut fans. But I like the fact they're mixing things up. I think plus you get less snubs if you have 4 All-Star teams. Then you can really fit all your good players in. Imagine if you had this in the NBA, where you said you had like 4, 6-man teams that play like a small tournament. In which you play 2 12-minute halves or something like that.
Right.
You think fans don't want to see that?
That would be pretty dope, actually.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But the problem is that the NHL has to do things to keep their fans and bring in new ones. Where the NBA doesn't have to do anything but put their name on the next 2K game.
Right.
And LaMelo Ball should have made an All-Star game. That's all I'm gonna say about it. We didn't even get to talk about that. LaMelo Ball should have made it. Miles Bridges should have made it. I understand though the coaches don't give a damn about the All-Star game. That's all I have to say about that. They don't care. They just put whoever's name.
They can't wait till it's over.
Exactly. They don't care.
They don't care.
The players care about it, I think. Coaches
don't give a shit. They don't even
coaches vote on the reserves.
Yeah,
Players vote on the starters. I don't think they care.
Rodney, what you got? Any shout outs?
I got a soapbox. So
Step on it, brother.
what James Borrego did last night was egregious. He should be fired. And,
unacceptable.
It's completely unacceptable. He made Gordon Hayward, Kelly Oubre, and PJ Washington go 0 for 15 yesterday before the third quarter. What coach really wants to hold its players back? He even made LaMelo Ball take ill-advised shots because he wants to shine in Charlotte. It's time for a change. We need to hire Mark Jackson to focus on defense and to hold Bible study every Tuesday nights while he's in Onyx. Okay.
Well said. I can't talk.
Imagine the passion in the halftime speech when he told them, look, shoot as poorly as you can.
As you possibly can.
Don't defend anybody. We're going to lull them. It's like rope-a-dope style. We're going to lull them to sleep, and then we're going to come back.
I am not finished. I am not finished. It is James Borrego's fault that we don't have a starting center or we don't have any two-way players on this team. He signed all these players and recruited them all, and I'm tired of him. He has to go. Michael Jordan and Mitch Kupchak need justice. They need a real coaching salad, and this is unacceptable. Like when the Hornets traded Larry Johnson for Anthony Mason, even though Larry Johnson's back was bad and he was not the same player, and Anthony Mason made third team All-NBA, Grandmama will always be better than Anthony Mason. R.I.P. So, justice in Charlotte.
Justice in Charlotte.
Hashtag justice.
Hashtag justice for Melo. That's all that really matters.
No. And also, it is the NBA's fault. It is the NBA's fault. Even though they have LaMelo Ball on the 75th anniversary commercials and posters, that he's not in the All-Star game. The coaches absolutely hate him because of his father.
I heard they threw a champagne party when they saw that LaMelo didn't make the team.
No. Also, it's Miles Bridges' fault that he is 6'6" and allowed Jared Allen just scored 21 rebounds, and 29 points on his way to being called the All-Star reserve by Adam Silver this week. That is egregious, and it's terrible.
Justice.
That hurt Borrego didn't even vote for his own guys.
He didn't even vote for his own guys, man.
Look.
He wants all the shine.
Yeah.
Look. Even though James Borrego could not legally vote for LaMelo and Miles Bridges, his own guys,
he wouldn't have done it.
He should have made the call to Popovich, who is his boy, and all the disciples out there to have everybody vote for LaMelo. That is a travesty, a tragedy. He needs to be out of there. We need a black head coach for Black History Month. I'm done.
I agree.
I just want to say a Twitter space is coming very soon, and I want everybody to join. I'm just keeping it at that. I got 2 shout outs. I got a shout at, and I have an unfortunate shout out. My shout at is at the NBA. I'm going to keep this very, very short and sweet. I don't give a damn what their record is. Chris Middleton, by no way, shape, or form, should have been a damn all-star over LaMelo Ball and Miles Bridges, and that's the shout at. I'm not going to even go into the explanation. My last parting shot. I'm not even going to count a shout out or a shout at, but my last parting shot, unfortunately, is a very heartbreaking and unfortunate incident that happened with former Miss America, Chesley Christ. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that name right. But we all have heard of Chesley Christ, who committed suicide last week, who apparently jumped out of the window of her New York apartment, man. And I mean, it's a very sensitive subject, man, because we've had episodes on mental health on this show. Shout out to Brandon Risher and to Justin Perry. Again, we've had mental health shows on episodes on this show, and we've kind of attacked this subject a couple of times, man. And even with that being said, on a much larger scale, I don't feel like it's talked about enough. And I'm I hate the fact that these type of things have to happen first to open up these conversations, man. So I just want my parting shot is to everyone out there. If you are feeling that desperate, low, suicidal, whatever, man, reach out to somebody, man. We don't want to see these type of stories going forward. This is completely heartbreaking, saddened by it. That's it.
And also I want to add on to, like, if you have a feeling somebody in your life is down like that, just give them a call.
Give them a call. Check on them.
Offer to speak to them and just hear them out. I mean, offer to pick them up, hear them out, talk to them.
And just listen.
Just listen. Just listen.
Yeah, so.
You know what I do when I'm feeling down? I go to one of these YouTube channels that is only about LaMelo Ball because there are a lot of them. I'm not going to say any names, okay?
You feel a lot better about yourself after
Yeah,
that.
I go to there are channels out there that focus nothing. They're only about LaMelo and LiAngelo. They're not even about Lonzo. Just, it's weird. Right. It's weird.
Right.
And
why all the ball channels just forgetting about Lonzo?
And they just talk about how terrible James Borrego. And I go and I just talk shit to people on these YouTube channels because you can't get banned from YouTube. And I just say the most terrible comments to everyone, and it makes me feel better. And that's what I suggest you guys do as well.
And you have to have an outlet.
You have to have an outlet. I'm not even serious about it. I just go in there and just make people mad. It's great.
It's awesome. It's great fun for me.
Great therapy. Because that's what you need as a Hornets fan nowadays.
It's therapy.
Therapy.
It drives you to it.
So,
anywho.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully there is a better week for us Hornets fans.
Yeah, no, we need one.
Out there. Yeah.
Hey, man, I feel like I say this every week, every show. This show was a lot of fun today, man. Despite the crap with the Hornets, the show was a lot of fun, man. I'm glad Rodney joined us today, man.
Yes.
A lot of fun today.
Thanks to everyone in the chat. I mean that every one of you guys. I love seeing your comments.
Let me be clear about something for anybody that's new coming to the chat. Whether you agree or disagree with us, whether you like us or you don't, we still appreciate y'all being here.
Yes.
I know it doesn't look. We can talk a lot of shit in that Hornets group sometimes, but it's all in good fun and it's all banter. We still appreciate you being here. It is always fun to talk about Charlotte related stuff, Hornets, Panthers. whatever.
Because I
We
want you
appreciate
guys to
that,
remember,
man.
at the end of the day, none of us know shit about basketball.
That's it.
Not us, not
We're
you.
all wrong.
We're just a
We're
bunch
all
of
wrong.
we're just a bunch of guys
We're all wrong.
on the internet, and that's why we love you. You guys take care. Take care of each other. Stay warm out there. It's cold as hell.
Peace out.
Ronnie's back.
Ronnie's back. What's up?
Peace out. And I want to say, James Borrego just clipped my computer power, and
He don't want you to shine.
He don't want you to shine.
he does not want me to shine.
He wants
He
you to
does.
shine.
Look, I'm with James Booknight. I'm ready to square up. I'm ready to square up at this point. He clearly clipped my internet, and justice for Charlotte. Like we
Yep.
deserve better. We deserve better.
I'm going to find Red Man. Y'all be good, man.
Hey, bring me some ribs.
I got you, bro.
I got you.
All right, man.
Peace, y'all.
Peace,
Meet me
y'all.
at the county line.